record. Right, there we go. Start again. So, what we're going to cover is different types of diets. So, portion control, set meal plans, hybrid dieting, fasting, intuitive eating, and some of the fads that you may or may not have heard of. Hopefully, you've heard of all of them. Hopefully, you understand that they're all fads. If not, we'll go into each one a little bit, and I'll explain why I call it a fad and why I just don't like them. So start off, excuse me as well, I've got a big massive abscess in my mouth, so if I sound like I'm talking funny or I'm stuttering more than usual, that's why. So I apologise for that ahead of time. So portion control, really, really basic. It's something I implement with some clients who are completely new to nutrition. I've never tracked calories before, completely sort of unsure where to start with a diet. That's where it mostly gets implemented. It's just a really basic way of tracking food. But you can apply it if you've not got your phone on you. One of the ways I like to apply it with people outside of that is that if you're going for a meal out, if you're on a diet and you're going for a meal in a restaurant, so if you're dieting to lose weight, you're not on a diet. I hate that phrase. If you're dieting to lose weight, and you go for a meal in a restaurant, having this saved on your phone or having it like mentally saved in your brain can be helpful for the meal. So it's something we're going to talk on later when we get to the intuitive eating. But if you're dieting, obviously if you're full, then you don't need to eat all of the food on your plate. That's just something that we were taught as kids, that you can't eat your dessert until you've ate all your vegetables and all the food on your plate, which obviously doesn't sit well when you're trying to lose weight. So if you're going out for a meal in a restaurant portions are either ridiculously small because you've gone somewhere really posh, so the food's come out on a plate that big, or you've gone somewhere and the portions are ridiculously massive. You've gone for like a pub lunch and you've got a pie and chips and they've give you like enough chips to feed you for the rest of the month. If you have this portion control guide, if you just eat that portion off the plate and leave the rest, then you will still roughly stay within where you need to be to lose weight from that meal without over consuming on calories if you're completely unsure of how many calories are going to be in the food. So the steak might come out the size of your head. If you go off this, you're looking for just that palm there. So for most females, it's that part of your palm for a size of protein. It works quite well because your hand is going to be a completely different size to mine. So your portion of a hand is going to be right for you, essentially. So for dieting, we go with the top ones. So from there, you can see it's the palm of the hand for meat. Vegetables, I don't really agree with because just don't restrict your veg, like fill the plate with veg as much as you want. So kind of ignore that one. For carbohydrates, it's like a cupped handful. So imagine like when you were in school and they would dish the mashed potato out in school with the ice cream scoop. If not, that was probably just my school. Like an ice cream scoop worth of carbs is a good way of scoping it. But if you were to just scoop your handful, that's what we're talking about. And then your thumb for fats. If you're trying to maintain weight or gain weight as a female, I would set a minimum of double the portions. So again, if you don't want to just solely track food, this can be a way. It works for most foods. It's not very accurate. Because what you think one portion, you might have the same meal 2 days in a row, and what you think is a palmful of carbs on Tuesday is half the size of the palmful of carbs you have on Wednesday. So it can be quite inconsistent, and it won't bring about the best results it works, like I said, for if you're going for a meal out and you want to kind of not have to track your food or not try and find the food on the menu and search something similar. It can work in that way to still control how much food you eat. But it's probably the least used and probably one of the least reliables in terms of an actual applicable diet approach. See, I'm falling over my own words. I really can't talk with this abscess. I'm sorry. Next one, set meal plans. It was something I wanted to kind of steer clear of on this program, because it's not what I wanted for this program. I wanted you to be able to the goal was for you to learn through this whole 8 weeks. A set meal plan doesn't help you to do that. It would have got you great results if you'd have just stuck to set meals 2, 3, 4 times a day. It will get you quick results. It will get you good results because we know the numbers are accurate. We know the portions are accurate. But you don't learn anything from that. You're just doing what I tell you, which was not the point of this. So if it's a time-sensitive goal, if I get someone and they come to me and they're like, I've got a photo shoot in 6 weeks and I need to be in the best condition possible for that photo shoot, meal plan can work well. If you are ridiculously super busy and you just don't want to think about food and you're not really that into your food is just a tool that you know you need to eat, meal plan works great. You don't have to think about it. Someone else has done it for you. Go and look at what the food is for that day. Or even if you do it for yourself, if you are quite monotonous with food and you can just eat the same thing over and over again, meal plan takes the thinking out of it. If you're really busy, it's just, right, Monday, lunchtime, yeah, that's what I have. It can get very boring. Now I've put there, it takes away the decision making. This can be good and bad. So like I said, it can be good if you're really hectic and you want to just have less thinking time spent on meals. You could just spend one night of the month. So like the first of the month, you plan out your meals for the month and then you don't have to think about it then for the rest of the month. It can be bad because if you've planned that meal in and you don't want that meal, if you've planned a meal on Sunday night for next Sunday night and you get to next Sunday night and you don't want that meal because you just don't feel like it, you're scuppered. The meal plan doesn't work. It's a stepping stone for most people. For me, again, if you are completely new to nutrition, have never paid any attention to the food that you put in your face before, have no idea what a calorie is or a carb is or anything like that, a meal plan can be a great place to start, and you can build up from there, because someone like me can come in, show you how many calories, how much protein, all that is in 4 eggs, because you can see it on the program, on your meal plan there. But it's not something that I would live my life by. Hybrid dieting, however, is something I use quite a lot. And I think this can work quite well for most people. It fits into most lifestyles. So hybrid dieting is a mix between a set meal plan and you having calories to track. So what I will do, I've put there, I use it for specific goals. So at the moment, I've got like a 2-week like mini diet leading me into Christmas, so that I don't come out of Christmas like a Christmas pudding. Because I'm trying to gain weight at the moment. But if I go into Christmas continuing to gain weight, I'll be too heavy at the end of Christmas. So these 2 weeks, trying to bring my weight down. I'm also crazy busy over the next 2 weeks, getting everything sorted for the Christmas content stuff and going into the new year. So to make my life easier, I've planned out 4 of my 5 meals for the day. And these are my meals I have when I'm busy. I'm a little bit of a robot when it comes to food. I've got a healthy relationship with food. I have no issues with food, but I am a robot with food. It sometimes, as much as I love food, sometimes it's just a tool. And if I'm busy, it's just something that I need to eat. So at the moment, up at 6:30, first meal in, go and train, second meal in, do work, third meal in, more work, fourth meal, and then evening meal. So all the meals where I'm hectic in the day, if I'm really busy and I haven't planned the meals out, I'll skip them because it's thinking time to go, oh, what am I going to have for lunch? What am I going to have next? Right, well, I need this many carbs. It needs to be this many calories. I'll just leave it and have a big tea. Like, I can't have that happen. So it's planned out. It's on the wall over there for me. I can just go and look. 4 of my meals are already laid out. I know I need, in the morning, 3 eggs, 4 bits of bacon, and some bread. Done. Don't need to think about it. Done. Do that every morning. The hybrid bit comes in the evening time where I've allocated a set amount of calories and a set amount of protein for the last meal of the day. So that way you still get some fun, some normality, some like variety in your day, and it doesn't become really monotonous. This also works really well if you aren't the one that does the cooking all the time, or you are going to be cooking with someone else, or you've got kids to feed and you're going to be making them food, stuff like that, where that last meal of the day where everyone's home is always going to be something a little bit different. You can fit that in by as long as you know, and right, okay, well, as long as the last meal, as long as I follow that plan for meal 1 and meal 2, I know I've got 800 calories left for the night and I need 20 grams of protein. And then for the last meal, that's all you've got to think about. Keeping it under 800 and making sure that you get 20 grams of protein in. For me, because I'm having 5 meals, I try and get the majority of my protein in the 4 planned ones. So even if that last one goes completely out the window and it's a bit of a mad meal, I haven't got to worry about trying to get the protein in. I've just got to worry about the total number of calories. So for me, at the moment, I've got to get 270 grams of protein in a day. I get about 250 in the first 4 meals, and then I only need about 20 in the last meal. So it's not the end of the world if I don't get that 20 in. So if you're going to have 3 meals and a snack, and you plan out a snack and 2 meals, and you leave that last meal as like a free meal with just your calories and the protein to hit, try and bang all of your protein, or as much of your protein as you can, in them first 2 meals and in the snack. So then when it comes to that last meal, it's just one less thing to think about, and you can have a little bit more freedom in that evening meal. I like this kind of dieting especially for weight loss. I think this works really well. It fits most people's routines, having a slight mix. You can have different rotations of it. So I will just stick to the same meals for a week and then change them. But you could have 3 options where, like, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then you change it on Sunday, where you just work through the 3 options. Again, it would just mean you sitting down with MyFitnessPal and working out, right, okay, these are going to be my breakfasts, my lunch, and my dinners. And then this is the calories I've got left over for the end of the day to have whatever I want. So it does work quite well and stops you from getting that monotonous boringness from a set diet plan, but also gives you the control of having it laid out to a certain extent to take some of the thinking away from it. That's one of the benefits of having the meal plan, or the meals planned out. And this is why I say to you, in a lot of the videos we've done on nutrition, plan in advance as many meals as you can, because it takes the thinking out. So then when you get to those days where it's absolutely hectic, if you've already planned that the night before and then the day turns into an absolute nightmare, it's one less thing to think about. I'm sure you've all been there. We've all been there where you haven't planned your day. You went to bed, you didn't plan the meals for the next day, and then the next day turns into one of the maddest days you've had in months. Absolutely manic, works up the wall, you miss your bus, you're late everywhere, you get home and you haven't planned your tea and you're just like, oh my God, right. And that, when you're in that position, that's where Just Eat starts screaming at you. Just Eat's like, just order, you can just go on there, just order something dead easy. Or you drive past McDonald's on the way home and you know you haven't got no food in because you haven't planned it. That's when you're going to start driving towards there. So it helps you to avoid that. Fasting. Yeah, fasting next. So it's not an actual diet style. I know a lot of people talk about, you might have heard of intermittent fasting for fat loss. It's just creating a calorie deficit by giving you a window in the day where you can't eat food. You fast every day anyway. Every human in the world fasts when you go to bed. Most people, so if you hear about intermittent fasting, a lot of people do like a 12-hour fast, and they'll do like 12 off, 4, 5 on, because they want to do a 12-hour fasting window because it magically helps you lose fat more. The way I disprove that is that most people have their last meal at about 8 o'clock at night. Very rare that anyone eats sort of later than that. Then you go to bed, you wake up, and you have breakfast around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning as the first time you eat again. You've done a 12-hour fast, but you fasted while you're asleep rather than fasting while you're awake and feeling hungry because you're doing it. So in terms of creating better fat loss, it doesn't. There's studies showing, so I've referenced one down there. I forgot to reference the one to do with the fast and fat loss, but there was two groups. One group creating a calorie deficit through a varied diet of carbs and fat. Sorry, I'm getting completely off track there. So there was one group in the diet fasted, the other group never. They both created the same calorie deficit, except one group fasted for a set amount of hours and the other group just ate in a normal routine. There was no difference in overall fat loss at the end of the study, or not a significant difference for it to be worth noting. There's been loads of studies on like starting the day, fasted cardio helps you burn more fat. Again, it doesn't. If you haven't ate food in the morning, you will use fat as your energy source because you've not ate carbs. But then later in the day, you will use carbs as energy when you eat. So the proportion of fat and carb energy use throughout the day will balance itself out regardless, because your body is smart like that. If it's got no food to use, it will use your stored body fat as energy. As soon as you eat food, it will stop using the stored body fat as energy and use the food that you've ate as energy, because that's what it's there for, until the food goes again, and then it will use the body fat again. It doesn't matter whether you're in a fasted state or not, to do with like increasing fat loss. It does, however, have a lot of health benefits outside of fat loss. So I would never get anyone to fast for fat loss unless they really wanted to do it. Like, I would never stop anyone. If you want to go and fast, by all means, go and fast. Like, it's completely up to you. But it's not going to have any other magic differences. Fasting might just work really well for you. I fast when my food is really, really low for no other reason than if I push my food back really far in the morning, I've got more food to eat in the night. So for a lot of people, when you're dieting, don't like eating breakfast anyway. So I say to most people, push your food back as far as comfortable. So maybe push your food back to 11, 12 o'clock in the day if you can, as long as you're not absolutely ravenous by then. Then have your first meal, and then that way you've got all your calories from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and it feels like you're eating loads of food in a shorter window. So psychologically, it makes it a little bit easier to stay on like lower calories, because rather than having to spread 1,200 calories across 12 hours, you're only spreading them across 6, and you feel like you're eating more. So I use it for that when my calories are really, really low. But health benefits, fasting, and we're talking about true fasted state. So this is having nothing in your stomach whatsoever. Your stomach is not digesting anything at all other than water. And some people even argue that water is enough to break a fast. So caffeine, supplements, orange juice, anything that your stomach would have to digest and break down would, in this case, break your fasted state. But a true fasted state of over 12 hours, so it takes about 12 hours for your stomach to fully clear out everything that you've ate from the day before. So you need to have at least a 12 to 18 hour window of not eating anything to get your stomach into a truly fasted state. When you get into that state, two things happen: autophagy and apoptosis. Autophagy is a process in the body where cells clear out any damaged or like degrading material. And that's every cell within your body. This only happens when you're in a fasted state. Apoptosis is the generation of new cells. So autophagy is the clearing out of old cells. Apoptosis is the generation of new cells. So obviously this is really, really good for the body, because you're getting rid of any damaged cells, any cells that aren't working properly, any cells that aren't able to do their job properly within your body are getting removed. And then apoptosis is the generation of brand new cells, which is something that obviously is massively beneficial throughout your whole entire body. This has huge implications to heart health, brain health, and general longevity. So like it's not called lifespan, health span. Your health span. Your health span is, so your lifespan is obviously how long you're alive for. Your health span is deemed as how long you're healthy for. So by regularly fasting, by regularly inducing apoptosis and autophagy, you can increase your health span. So when you see old people obviously start getting health implications as they get older, you're shifting back when that's going to be, with the ideal goal in an ideal world that your health span and your lifespan are on top of each other. Also, a really interesting one, it may help reduce the reoccurrence of breast cancer and also help in the treatment of breast cancer along with breast cancer treatments. This was from a podcast, and I cannot remember the name of the woman. She's like the messiah of fasting. She's got like multiple PhDs in food nutrition and fasting. But she was talking about the huge benefits of, because of the apoptosis and the autophagy, there's new research to suggest that the patients who fasted after receiving breast cancer treatment and after recovering from breast cancer had like a 90% chance of not having breast cancer reoccur through fasting. And then this research that I've cited at the bottom there is a new study done this year that showed when patients fasted and had hormone therapy, it caused the breast cancer to regress quite rapidly. So there are huge health benefits to fasting. It's something I would suggest everyone give it a go. Try like an 18-hour, 24-hour fast, see how you get on. It can be quite interesting because not a lot of people go that long without eating, especially when you choose to do it. So you're going to get all the health benefits, and you're also going to get a bit of an eye-opener as to how it feels. It's just something a bit different. It's just something a bit strange. Yes, you feel hungry. You will feel hungry for the first 10 to 12 hours, but your body is quite smart. And the further into the fast you get, the less your body starts signaling that you're hungry. And when you get past the 18, 19-hour mark, you're really not that hungry anymore, and you don't really think about it, and you can sort of just get on with your day, which is quite weird. So it could be worth trying just out of sheer interest to see how you respond to it. And and then obviously get all the health benefits from doing it as well. Intuitive eating. This is kind of along the lines of mindful eating, if you've heard of that. Intuitive eating has 10 principles. We're going to go through the 10 principles and then we'll talk about the pros and cons of intuitive eating. Intuitive eating come about to reject the diet mentality. So that's the number one. Intuitive eating is saying that we don't need to track food. We don't need to restrict food. We don't need to have this bad view of food that's brought on by diet culture, which I'm massively supportive of. It's something I've said to you from the start, like eat whatever you want. Like don't exclude food from your diet because food is food. There are no bad foods in my eyes. There are only bad situations in which you eat food. Number two is honor hunger. So what they mean by this is if you're hungry, eat and learn. It's all about learning to understand your body. So very much like the meditation is you learning to understand your thoughts and identify when you're having racing thoughts and gain control of that. Intuitive eating is down a similar path where you're learning to understand what your hunger feels like, what fullness feels like, what boredom eating actually feels like. And the more that you practice it, the more you can identify the difference between, yes, I'm actually hungry, and no, I'm eating this because I have been watching the telly for an hour and I'm a bit bored. Again, you're smiling because it's something we all do, because it's something we don't practice and we don't really pay attention to when we eat. We eat at set meal times and that's kind of it. So we don't really pay attention to our hunger. Make peace with food. So this is what I've just went over that. I should have deleted off there. That's not supposed to be in there. Ignore that. Make peace with food basically means remove guilt from all of the food that you eat, because there is no bad food. You can eat whatever you want, whenever you want, and you do not need to feel guilty for any of the food you eat. Number four, challenge the food police. I'm sure you've come across food police in work, in the gym, a friend, a parent, a colleague. Oh, you can't eat that. I thought you were on a diet. You can't eat that. Why are you eating that? You sure you should be eating that? Challenging the food police. I would say do this anyway to anyone who says something like that to you, because they haven't got a clue what they're on about. If they're asking you why are you eating that as if it's a bad thing, or they're trying to put you down for eating a certain thing, or saying, are you sure you should be eating that because you're on a diet? They haven't got a clue what they're talking about. And you can now confidently say to them, I can eat whatever I want. I know what I'm doing with my food. I'm in control of my diet. I can eat whatever I want. If you question someone on their reason for asking you why, they will either not have an answer, stutter, or come out with some complete nonsense, and you can walk away going, yeah, you haven't got a clue what you're on about. It's always the office Karen, I like to call it, or the office Kevin, or the office Karen. Why are you eating muffins? You're on a diet. Like, yeah, because muffins taste nice and I like muffins, and there's muffins in the office and I wanted one. That's why I'm eating it. Why can't I eat a muffin? Because muffins have got like sugar and poison and stuff in, and you're on a diet. Like, didn't you just eat a muffin though? Well, yeah, but right, well, shut up then. Like that, it's mad. Food police are everywhere, and it's one of my pet hates. 5, discover the satisfaction factor. So this is actually enjoying food. Something that, again, we don't do in really busy lives. If you're working from home at the minute, something I've been really guilty of the past couple of weeks, and it's something I need to break the habit of, is eating me food where I work. It's something I always tell clients not to do, and at least the past week, I've done it every meal. You need to enjoy the food, be conscious of the food. Don't be watching the TV. Don't be typing an email while you're eating. Sit, concentrate on the food, digest the food, chew the food, enjoy that food, because if you don't, especially if you're dieting, especially if you're trying to lose weight, you won't be concentrating. Next minute, that food will be gone. And that's a meal that you haven't consciously paid attention to. And if you've not consciously paid attention to it, you're going to be hungry so much quicker later on. You might, like, a good example is when you're watching the telly and you've got popcorn, or you've got like a share bag of crisps, and you're watching a film, and then next minute you put your hand in the bag and there's none left. And where did they go? Because you're not paying attention to how much you've ate of it. It's massively important, especially when dieting, that you pay attention to your food so that you can be aware that you've ate it, be conscious that you've ate it, and feel full from it. Another one flips that on its head. Number 6, feel your fullness. So this is the opposite end now. This is being aware of when you are actually full. We've all been out for a meal before. We've all ordered a takeaway, and we've just carried on eating, carried on picking at stuff. The meal's finished, you've put it down, but 10 minutes later, you're still picking something up. And then next minute, you're on the way home and you need to undo the top button of your jeans and you feel like you're about to burst because you've ate way past where you're being full. Kind of partially related to how most of us were brought up, where we were told you need to eat all your food, never leave food on your plate. You need to eat all your greens. You can't have any dessert if you don't finish your food. So that's deeply ingrained into our brain that we don't leave food on the table even when we've ordered at a restaurant. If you're full, stop eating. You don't need it. You're never going to feel good for eating past full. You're always going to feel uncomfortable. You're always going to feel really sick. And you're always going to feel a bit shit for doing it, because you're going to get to that full state and 10 minutes later go, oh, I shouldn't have ate that. Because we all do it. So feeling your fullness, taking your time. If you're taking your time with your food, if you're chewing your food, you will feel fuller sooner, and your fullness will be closer to when you are actually full, because these feelings are always a little bit delayed. So if you slow down the speed that you eat, you will feel fuller at the right time. Cope with your emotions with kindness. We all at some point in our life have emotionally ate. Food gives off a good feeling. It creates dopamine and it creates serotonin production when we eat foods that we love. So if we're sad, if we're down, if we're stressed, our brain knows that certain foods will make it feel good. And so it will reach for those foods. This isn't always a bad thing, because it is making you feel good. If foods that are high in sugar and fat together have the biggest dopamine hit to our brain, it's how food scientists design foods to make us get a big spike of dopamine so that we want to eat more of them. But if you're aware of this and you can go and eat a bar of chocolate when you feel a bit shit and it makes you feel better, great. But don't use that as your coping mechanism. Don't stuff your face all night long. Don't reach for the Ben and Jerry's because you're feeling a bit shit to try and cover up those emotions. Like, you need to deal with whatever that issue is, what's causing those emotions, because the Ben and Jerry's isn't going to fix it. The Ben and Jerry's is going to give you a spike in dopamine for half an hour, 40 minutes, and then it's going to plummet back down, and all of those unaddressed emotions are still there. So it can be used as part of a way to make you feel good, because food does make us feel good. But you need to not use it as the coping mechanism that a lot of us do when we have a really stressful day. It's not solving the issue. The issue that has spiked those emotions needs to be addressed. And that's why we meditate, and that's why we journal, so that we can deal with those stressful days, we can deal with those emotional days, and we can get through it without having to turn to Ben and turn to Jerry to make us feel better. Number 9, movement, feel the difference, where they're talking about just exercising regularly and not exercising to use your words. They're not exercising to punish yourself. You're exercising because you can exercise. You're exercising because you want to be better. You're not exercising to burn off food. So you can see a lot of this intuitive eating has come about from people who've got really poor relationships with food. Where the diet mentality, where over tracking food, becoming over reliant on calories, or having a really unhealthy relationship with food needs to be addressed. Intuitive eating can be an absolutely amazing way to do that. Number 10, honor your health, gentle nutrition. Again, that holistic approach to dieting where you're doing things that make you feel good. You're doing things for your body. You're not eating to punish yourself. You're not eating to mask guilt. You're not eating to mask emotions. You're literally eating to make your body better. So it is really, really good. I really like intuitive eating as a principle, as an idea. I think it's amazing. I think we need more stuff like this, especially in the fitness industry, because there are so many people who just churn out absolute rubbish to do with food, to do with diet, to do with how you look on social media, on the news, even on like TV programs like It's Your Fault I'm Fat. Like, they're not helping the situation. So we need more stuff like this because this is what people need in their life. The problem is, it's a skill you need to learn. Like meditation, it's not something that you can just delete MyFitnessPal and be amazing at it straight away. You need to learn how your hunger levels work. So what a lot of people do when intuitive eating is they have a scale of 1 to 10 on how hungry they are. 1 is absolutely ravenous. I've just fasted for 2 days and I can see my stomach rumbling. And 10 is what we were talking about, where you're coming home from the restaurant and you need to undo the top button of your jeans. Like, you're absolutely about to burst and you feel like you might be sick and you feel like you might need a nap. That's 10. You're looking to be day to day, not trying to gain weight, not trying to lose weight. You want to be right slap bang in the middle, 5, 6, right in there. Most of the day, when you start getting towards a 4 or a 3 and you feel that, okay, I'm starting to get a little bit hungry, I'm not ridiculously starving, I'll go and eat something. But I will eat a proper meal and I will stop eating when I get full. When I get back to that 5 or 6 level of fullness, I'll stop eating. And you just do that throughout the day. And you design your meals to allow you to do that. So you need to have a really good understanding of food as well, and what food works well for you, what food makes you feel full, what food is going to make you feel satiated, and what food you can eat that you're not going to want to snack 10, 15 minutes later. So it's a skill that you need to learn. It takes practice, but it really can help build a healthy relationship with food. It's not something I would suggest trying on your own without some guidance. I only try it with clients who I either know are very confident with their understanding of food and who I speak to on a regular basis. Like, I will speak to them, especially initially when we first start trying it, speak to them quite a lot so that they can, through the day, have that sort of support there to understand when they should eat, when they shouldn't eat, and to understand their hunger levels a bit better. Doesn't work for everyone because, like I said, it's a skill that you need to learn. So initially, you're going to be very bad at it. You're probably either going to not eat enough and then be ravenous and eat too much, or you're just going to generally eat too much all day or eat the wrong stuff all day and end up gaining weight, losing too much weight, or just not seeing the progress that you want to see from it. So it's one of those, it has a time and a place. However, for most people, it's probably not that applicable to day-to-day life. Any questions so far before I go on to the next one?
I'm good.
No, good. So fad diets. Have you heard of all of these? Is there any on here that you haven't heard of?
I haven't heard of what the skinny jab.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I've heard of the skinny jab.
Or the one-to-one.
The one-to-one and the skinny jab. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, these are all fads. Juice Plus Herbalife is meal replacement. It's getting you to drink drinks instead of eating food so that your calorie intake for the day is really, really low. Obviously, you're going to lose weight. If you can stick to that, yes, you're going to lose weight because you're massively under your calorie intake for the day. What is that teaching you about food, though? That to lose weight, food is bad? No, ridiculous. I hate it. Think it's one of the worst things in the world. Like, eat food. Don't drink your meals, especially when you're dieting and you're hungry all the time. And instead of food, you've got some green, manky, horrible shake that you've got to have for breakfast and lunch. Like, no wonder people feel miserable when they do that diet, because I couldn't think of nothing worse. The one-to-one diet is not much better. This is the Cambridge 1-1 diet. So this is marketed as you having a nutritionist guide you through a diet to help you lose weight. And it all sounds very good. The website obviously is marketed very, very well and worded very, very well. When I've looked into it in the past, when I first had a client come to me and say, oh, well, I'm currently on the one-to-one diet, I had no idea what it was. So obviously went away, done some research, looked into it, and they don't tell you very much on their website. You need to sign up, have a consultation, get sold to, get signed up before they tell you anything about how the diet's going to work or what they're going to get you doing. From the clients I've worked with who have done the one-to-one diet, it's a set meal plan and it's very low calories, like very, very low calories. And people lose a lot of weight on it because they're getting given new meal plans regularly. So they're not getting bored of the diet. That's basically what their nutritionist is there to do, is to give them a new meal plan to follow every time they get bored of the food, to allow them to stick to it for longer. You have like 3 options to choose from when you start with them. I couldn't for the life of me tell you what they're called, but it's essentially hungry, really hungry, or absolutely starving on the scale of how low your calories are going to be. And that's how they work it out. So I think they call it like aggressive diet, average, and like steady weight loss or something like that. Similar to what you filled in when you applied on HQ2 and I asked you how rapidly do you want to lose weight. If you'd have clicked the very rapidly, your calories would have been lower. They wouldn't have been one-to-one Cambridge diet low, but they would have been the lowest end of what is I would deem healthy and acceptable for a diet. They just take that a little bit further to try and get you losing quite a lot of weight in quite a short amount of time, which if we look back to things like Biggest Loser and other shows like that, where they try and lose a lot of weight in a short period of time, none of them keep that weight off in the long term. I think you'd be very hard pressed to find anyone who'd been on The Biggest Loser who'd lost any weight and was that weight now and hadn't gained the weight back. Rapid fat loss isn't healthy, it's not sustainable, and often people gain more weight back than before they started, so they're in a worse position in the long run. Detox diets, so you've got skinny coffee, skinny teas, the detox teas. They don't detox you because, like I've said on I think I've mentioned it at least once on every live that we've done, your body is really, really smart. Our bodies have survived millions of years of evolution to get us to this point, and it's really good at what it does. We've got some organs in our body that do the detoxing for us on a daily basis, and they're a lot better than skinny coffee or this detox tea is at cleansing toxins out of your body. So much so, when we drink pure poison like alcohol, our body removes it all for us and we survive at the end of it. So detoxing in any way other than just letting your body do it itself doesn't really exist. The only other kind of detox is the fasting we talked about, and the apoptosis and the autophagy, where you're detoxing dead and damaged cells and replacing them with new cells. But again, you don't need any kind of supplement for that. You don't need any magic powder. You don't need to go and pay someone on Facebook £200 for a magic detox pack. You can just let your body go and do it because it's really fucking good at it. Prove it, keto diet and the keto diet. You happy with what the keto diet is?
Yeah.
So Prove It keto diet drinks. I actually got into a conversation with someone who sells this. They tried to sell it to me, which was not too successful, clearly. But I just started asking them questions. This is what I do. I don't go out my way to knock someone down and say that what they're doing is stupid or wrong. I will just ask them questions like, how does it work? Like, tell me how it works. Tell me what the ingredients are. Tell me what they're doing. Tell me how this supplement is actually working for me. Because I want to see what they say. So then when I speak to yous and I speak to other clients, I can tell them that this is what they're saying and this is why it's nonsense. So they're telling you that the Prove It keto diet supplements are going to put you into a state of ketosis quicker. They will put you in a state of ketosis when you drink the keto drink, because like we talked about in the supplements last week when we were talking about the carb powders, for like in the middle of training where it's powdered carbs, that's powdered energy as carbohydrates that you're drinking. The Prove It drinks are powdered energy, but just in the form of fats, like digestible, ready to use fats that we call ketones. So when you drink the ketones, you've drank fat. So your body needs to produce more ketones to digest that and use it as energy. When you eat food, whatever that food is, that's what your body goes to for energy. So if you've just ate ketones, you will use those ketones as energy. So they're essentially just energy drinks. They then tell you to go on a keto diet to back up the keto drinks. So my next question was, well, if I'm following a keto diet, what do I need the keto drinks for? She was like, oh, it helps you stay in ketosis. Well, you will be in ketosis on a keto diet because you're only consuming fats for energy. So you can only be in a state of ketosis to use the energy for fat. Otherwise you would die. So it was mind-boggling how pointless this powder was to be in a state of ketosis if you're going to be on a keto diet. And they're selling this to people and taking money off them, and it's just ridiculous. And the final one, probably the worst one of them all, and my biggest hate in anything that has come out of the health / beauty / fitness industry in ever, is the skinny jab. They've got a clinic in Liverpool. They've got a clinic in Aintree and in Manchester. Kerry Katona is one of the faces of it. She sells it. So did Gemma Collins. So two people who have publicly got quite bad relationships with food and have struggled with weight loss for years and have tried different things and been in the papers talking about it, are now selling this product and telling you how good it is. Skinny jab is used by the NHS. So the drug, I can't off the top of my head think what the drug is called. but Skinny Jab, of their brand name is Skinny Jab, but the drug, not Skinny Jab, but the actual drug that's in Skinny Jab is used by the NHS as an intervention in obesity clinics. So patients who are in an obesity clinic who need interventions in their life to stop them from dying from the health complications of being obese, this is one of the options that they use. And it does work. It essentially works by making you feel sick. So I've had a client before who was receiving this treatment from the NHS through an NHS obesity clinic. She would take the jab in the morning and by about midday was too sick to eat, like just felt nauseous. So that's essentially how it works in terms of fat loss, that they're too sick to eat. That's now being marketed as a fat loss drug that you can go in and pay for if you want to lose weight, which I think is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, that's making the problem worse. Like, oh, you're struggling to lose weight. Okay, come and stick this drug in your bum and you're going to feel too sick to eat. We're going to do that for 12 weeks until you lose all the weight. And then you're going to stop taking the Skinny Jab and then go back to eating the way you were, go back to doing all the things that you were doing beforehand, leave your poor relationship with food where it is and just pick it back up in 12 weeks and then come back and see us in about 12 months when you gain the weight back and give us more money. I've done a rant about it. I actually ranted so much about it, I lost a client over it because I was fuming about it. Like, I hated it so much. And unfortunately, she misinterpreted my hate for Skinny Jab as if I was hating on her for using it, which obviously was not the case. Like, she was receiving this through the NHS, supervised by doctors, supervised by the obesity clinic who have approved this drug for the use of treating obesity. That, yeah, you've got a doctor there that is taking blood work, that is checking up on you every week. Great. If that's going to help you overcome health implications down the line, great, use it. Because there's a massive support network that comes with that. Skinny Jab, however, where you're going to a clinic in Aintree, where some girl who's done a 3-day course on injecting you is going to inject you 2, 3, 4 times a week and take £500 off you. No, that I can't get with, because there's no support there. They're not fixing issues. And if you're not clinically obese and you're not at risk of further health complications, you just don't need it. So yeah, terrible. And if you ever hear anyone going on about Skinny Jab, please tell them to just run a mile, come see me, and I'll tell them why it's a load of rubbish. Done. That's us. Any questions on any of that?
No, I don't think so.
No? Awesome. I will stop the share there.